It's like a car wreck, and you see total devastation. And everybody walks away, and you think, okay, great, everybody's okay. But then later on, they die from internal injuries that people couldn't see. Well, when you're a child and you're a victim of sexual molestation, your total innocence was robbed, and your trust in people that you thought was a trusted individual.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's something that just doesn't, sometimes never comes back. And that is the major cause of being the victim of a molestation.
I think a mic drop analogy by our new victims advocate, Miss Stapleton. We're going to unpack this hearing at the end, and you may be as infuriated as I am with what I think is the hypocrisy of the DA. With that, let's jump in.
700-724-609.
Mr. Jarvis, I find you're a first-class offender. You're currently serving a 20-year sentence for indecent behavior with a juvenile. You actually were on probation, and you had multiple violations, including positive drug screens. You have a parole eligibility date, July 1st, 2024. You're not eligible for good time, and you have a full-time date of November 4th, 2037. Is that correct, according to your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You're gonna be answering Ms. Stapleton's questions first, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Jarvis, you have a parole violation, and on it, you broke just about all the rules you could. Tell me if I'm correct with this, okay? You didn't keep your GPS monitor charged. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am. I was working.
Okay, failure to stay at the listed residence, a positive drug scheme, failure to attend sex offender treatment, providing falsified sex offender treatment attendance records. In addition, the subject did not pay the court ordered fine. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I was wondering. So, you're accused of, well, you've been convicted of indecent behavior with a juvenile, a young juvenile. But I don't, because you haven't had those classes, and I see here where I believe you wanted the classes, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And I see
Thanks.
here that you
Ma'am, can I
listed.
say something?
Uh-huh.
He has been taking some classes we have tablets here, and he has been taking some classes, but I hadn't got all his certificates off of there. But as soon as I can get them off today, I will email them to you all.
Has he finished sex offender classes?
Yes, ma'am. He has done 280 some classes. He got 200 some 80 certificates in different things like jobs, different kind of jobs, construction, truck driving, and forklift, and some sex abuse classes, sexual harassment and stuff like that. But I could get them off and get y'all email and send y'all copies of them.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take me a minute to get them off.
Mr. Jarvis, do you feel like there's a lack of program there for a sex offender, like a sex offender class?
Yes, ma'am.
So you did take those classes?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. All right. That's good. What victim awareness? Do you understand what your victim may be feeling after something like this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Some people say, well, it's like a car wreck, and you see total devastation. And everybody walks away, and you think, okay, great, everybody's okay. But then later on, they die from internal injuries that people couldn't see. Well, when you're a child and you're a victim of sexual molestation, you know, your total innocence was robbed and your trust in people that you thought was a trusted individual.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's something that just doesn't, sometimes never comes back. And that is the major cause of being the victim of a sexual molestation. I wanted to read here what the district attorney has to say. They're opposed. You do have opposition from law enforcement and the district attorney. The offender received the benefit of an extremely generous plea agreement, but cannot apply with the special conditions of his probation. We believe this is indicative of how he would act if released on parole. Furthermore, we do not believe he has served near enough time for the trauma he inflicted upon his victim and the family. His sexual predator is where he needs to be. That's the district attorney's office. So I don't have any more questions.
Mr. Freeman, do you have any questions?
Ma'am.
Um,
How's it, your discipline? You have any disciplinary write-ups since you've been in jail?
No, sir. I'm right up free.
Right up free. Okay,
commend you for that.
thank you.
I'm just curious, I need to know, how many children do you have, biological children do you have?
I have 4, 3 girls and a boy.
3 girls and a boy.
Ma'am.
And how old is your youngest?
My boy, he's gonna be 5. Next month on the 15th.
Okay, so, and you've been incarcerated for 4 years? 4.5 years?
4.5.
You really haven't gotten a chance to know him yet.
No, ma'am. But I have talked to him like on the wall phone. Like he's been hollering. He just started calling me daddy, and he's just starting to get to know me. But I never really had to be in this life, to take care of him. And that's what I'm basically trying to get back to and support him and the family and my family, and take care of myself with the job that I have ability to get to have to work for.
And your victim was a stepdaughter, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So I like what you're saying. Do you have anything else that you'd like to say?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Okay, by me being here, I had came here to this facility in 2019, and like you guys say, I never had any write-ups. I've been right up free. I've been staying out of trouble. I don't get into any type of bad environment, trouble, none of that. I stay out the way, and I do anything just to get back to society to help my family. And I lost a lot of family members since I've been down, and that took a lot of pain away from me. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I can get my people back together, and by me getting back in their lives and my kids' life, my family, I can support them better and not let anyone down again, like coming back to jail. I mean, I can do better. I did better. I am better. I didn't overcome what I had done in the past, and I regret. And if the victim was here, I would love to apologize for what had happened in the past, and I would love to get back to society and better myself, way better than what I was of a man that I was supposed to be at first.
Right. Ms. Stapleton, are you prepared to vote?
I am prepared. My vote is to deny. Based upon, when you were off the last time.
Yes. Participants.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
am so sorry. I am so sorry. My apologies. I have with us Ms. Lanisha Garina. You are the mother of his son, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay. And what would you like to offer to this decision-making program?
I would like to add to the decision to the point where he's not a threat to society, okay? He's been out his son's life for like almost 5 years now. My son's going on 5 years old. He had autism. He need his dad. He always asking for his dad. His auntie right now can't be with us because she had open heart surgery, and he help out with his auntie a lot. And they really need him. Like, they really need him. His son need him the most. He have talked to his son, but my son don't really know him like talking about.
How many children do y'all have together?
We have one son together.
Was there anybody at the facility that would like to make a statement? Jones?
No, ma'am.
Is the daughter gonna be around him when he comes to be with his son?
No.
She's moved?
That's two different parents.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the confusion. I understand.
Okay. So we have a vote by Ms. Stapleton for denial. Mr. Freeman?
Mr. Jarvis, I think you're on the right track, but I think you do do a little bit more time than 5 years for the crime that was committed. So my vote today is going to be to deny.
Mr. Jarvis, I concur. My biggest hangup is your revocation. I mean, you failed to show any desire to follow the rules. And you have impressed me with your disciplinary conduct while you're incarcerated. That's to your credit. I would hope that you would get some more programming in the area of sexual victim awareness. So at this time, my vote is to deny. So you've been denied today, sir. Thank you.
Please allow me to point out the hypocrisy, the two-faced nature of the DA in many cases, especially in this case. He leaves a letter, a pretty strong statement, right? And you might say, wow, that's refreshing, a DA that takes the time to write a statement. But let's not forget that it's the same DA, maybe not him specifically, but the same office that gave this man probation. It gave him probation. This crime happened in 2015. It wasn't until 4 years later that he violated his probation that he got locked up. And let's read through this crime, and it is going to piss you off. I can only read through parts of it because it lists an address, even though it's a partial address. With YouTube rules, I'm just going to have to, I'm going to read the full thing, but I'm going to go away from the screen share. Thank you, Richard, for providing this. 28-year-old Baton Rouge man accused of repeatedly sexually assaulting an 11-year-old girl, his stepdaughter, during the span of a week was arrested Tuesday. Okay? This is the crime that he received probation for. The girl's mother called the police after walking into her living room Monday and finding her daughter partially clothed while Carlos was looking inside the refrigerator, just grabbing a snack after the everyday sexual assault of an 11-year-old, his stepdaughter. The victim told police that when her mother entered the room, Jarvis moved away and opened the refrigerator door to act as if he were looking for something. The victim also told police that Jarvis had showed her several adult movies over the span of a week using a PlayStation 3, cell phone, and laptop computer. She also said that he sexually assaulted her. She uses the R word 5 times in the living room during that week. And the DA gave him probation. He did not have to serve 1 day in prison. The same DA that has the, as I said, hypocrisy to make sure to leave a statement. Is it because there's a new governor in town? Is it because they're finally taking victims, survivors seriously? I don't know. I don't know. But let's just keep that in mind. Let's not be fooled. Let's not be fooled. Police presented the girl with a photographic lineup of men with similar features, and she identified Jarvis as the accused. He was booked on first-degree, the R word, and also indecent behavior with juvenile and sexual battery. And of course, what did they give him? They gave him the lesser charge of indecent behavior with the juvenile. Clowns. Clowns. They're a bunch of clowns. And then to have the audacity for the mother of his child that he had while he was out on probation, mind you, who's autistic, and I know our mods and others in the chat have autistic children. But for him, and they may feel the same way about this, he's probably not even going to be allowed to be around his child. For her to come out and say he needs him, really? You think your child needs to be around this person? "11 years old. I like the analogy that Miss Stapleton, who I just, the new victims advocate, and we got some things we're going to show you about her. She's every bit as good. I mean, she's just wonderful. She's a true victims advocate. It's what she's been doing with much of her life. And we'll show you footage of her, a courtesy of Brandy, our Louisiana native Cajun overcomer, who are familiar with her. Sent us some great footage of her testifying next to Cajun overcomer Brandy. But that analogy that she gave about the car accident, that was a great one. There's a wreck, people, you think you survived, it's great, but then there are injuries that last forever. And she used that with the child, the victim, the 11-year-old, who would only be, well, I guess she'd be about 20 now or something, because he committed this crime in 2015. He got probation. He violated in 2019. He's been locked up for 4 years. So that's 9 years. He got a 20-year sentence. His full term date's 2037. Also strange with the prison. They're like, oh no, he's got tons of programs. He's got what was it? How many hundreds of hours of programs? And I don't know. He's like, oh, he's got vocation programs. He's got this program. He's got that. Well, what about the sex offender programs? Anyways, maybe you feel the same way. It's just, how does a DA give someone like this probation? It just makes no sense. And, these parole hearings getting publicized, maybe it will start to change it. Maybe things will change. I am feeling good about this. It's a tougher on crime board and whatnot. But anyways, you probably wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it. And that's why we do this. So with that, I'll let you go.
Mr. Whitlock, you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 2. You last reported on June 6, 2023. How do you plead to violating condition number 2?
You said I last reported when?
June 6, 2023.
Not guilty, ma'am.
Okay, then condition number 4, and it says, you were arrested on December 16, 2023 by the Washita Parish Sheriff's Office for committing the offense of battery of a dating partner and interfering with emergency communications. The offenses occurred on or about August 6, 2023. On April 29, 2024, you pled guilty to interfering with emergency communication. The charge of battery of a dating partner was dismissed. You were sentenced to 5 months in the Ouachita Parish Jail with credit for time served. So how do you plead to violating condition number 4?
Right, condition number, not guilty, ma'am.
All right, and last, we have condition number 10, and it says you owe $4,007 behind on your supervision fees. The last time you made a payment was on April 1st, 2023 by the tax intercept program in the amount of $10. So how do you plead to violating number 10?
I plead guilty on that, ma'am.
Okay, would you answer Mr. Prater's questions, please, sir?
Good morning. Tell me about the first charge, number 2, that you failed to report from June of 2023 to December of 2023. Did you talk to or go by or did you go by the office, or did your probation parole officer come to see you during that 6-month period?
He would come to see me, but he sent me to a dating reporting center. I told him I needed help because I couldn't find a job, and I had a newborn, and she had something wrong. There was something wrong. She couldn't. Her mama is handicapped, so I had to take care of my newborn. And I called him. I always call him when something go wrong, and we had a very good bond that I wasn't trying to run from him. But he sent me to the dating reporting center, and I graduated. Well, I ain't graduated. I did anger management. I did parenting. I did 6 classes, and the whole time it took me 8 months to graduate. And the main thing he told me, make sure that I complete these classes because I thought that it's gonna make me better, so I can get me a job and take care of my newborn. So,
Those classes.
sir,
When were those classes?
I started in March and got my certificate in November. I got my certificate in November, and it's supposed to be a certificate. They're supposed to email y'all a certificate of my I graduate next month. I graduate next month on the 15th, but I got a certificate. They supposed to send y'all an email showing that I was reporting to the classes. And when I was reporting to the classes, the parole people was coming up there, and I was telling the parole woman to tell my parole officer that I'm here in classes and stuff. So that's why I never had no warrant out for my arrest, because I was doing right and trying to make sure I complete these classes for them. And I felt like that I was doing right because I got something out the classes, and the people there helped me learn how to get a job. And now that I got a job waiting on me, whenever I come home, my brother Timothy Woodlock, he's a contractor, and he paint Section 8 houses, and I got a good job to help me pay my parole fees. And only reason why I really wasn't paying because I was getting an SSI check, and I had reapplied back for my SSI, and I ain't want to try to start working and because I stopped getting my check when I turned 18, my SSI check, sir. And I feel like that as long as I was going to them classes, I thought I was doing right, but I ain't know I had to, because most of the time that I'm in the classes, I had to report to him, but the officer be up and I let the officer know that, tell my parole officer I'm in class that, I got a couple more months before I graduate. But I got my certificate. Sir?
Let me interrupt you just a second. So if I understand what you're saying, you were going to classes that you had been ordered to go to.
Yes, sir.
But that your parole officer didn't know you were going to these classes.
He knows, sir. He knows, sir. But he know I was going to the classes, but he always told when I call him, tell me about my baby, I can't go to class today because my baby's sick and I gotta go to LSU with her. And he'll tell me just when you come back, make sure you go back and sign back in because we had a sign in sheet. So I signed in for 8 months straight, sir. And I got a certificate that I'm supposed to be graduating next month on the 15th, sir.
Well, there's a disconnect somewhere. But let's move on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's move on to the count of battery of a dating partner and the count of interfering with emergency communications. Both of those I realize are misdemeanors, but you pled guilty to the interfering with the communication. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I didn't want to. Yes, sir. I had plead guilty.
Okay, well, tell me about the whole incident where y'all got into a scuffle or an argument or whatever it is. Tell me about that.
Well, my girlfriend, I was she helped me with my baby, and I was, you know what I'm saying, trying to leave my baby mama alone to kind of get with her, and I was just letting her know I was for the leave, and she was she was upset because she didn't want me to go back around with my baby mama. So I called 911, and when I called 911, I did it for a scare tech to scare her so I can go out the door. And when I called 911, as soon as they answered, I just hung the phone up, sir, and she moved from out of the door. So she was upset. I felt that's the only way I can get out without, put my hands on her, because I did these classes that I learned that I ain't got to put my hands on. And so I just, she did was upset and mad because I was trying to go back around with my baby mama, and we had the incident happen, and it wasn't no hitting or no fighting. It was just me trying to get out the door, and I really apologize about it. Y'all, I'm not trying to just tell y'all on anything. I'm telling the truth and God and God honest truth, and I love her, and we got no bad blood. It was just something that in the moment, and she is on the screen. If y'all want to ask her any question, it wasn't no hard. It wasn't no really no battery. It just when she called, she was upset because I was going back around her with my baby mama. That's all, sir.
Okay. Well, tell me about the money deal. You owed $4,000.
Yes, sir. When I turned 18, they cut me off my SSI, and since I had a newborn baby coming in the world, I had tried to sign back up for it, and they said you sign back up for it, you can't work there, mess with your SSI. So I asked my parole officer for some help, tell them that I couldn't get a job, and the man that be there, the workforce man, he was trying to help me get a job and stuff, and so I can pay out my parole fees, and I just was trying to do right, sir.
How much a month do you have to pay for parole?
I had to pay $75, sir.
And to get up to $4,000, that's a number of months, isn't it?
What it is that it takes 6 months at a time. I signed up for my check, and then take 6 months for them to deny me, and then I signed back up again. So I went on putting my head on tell my parole officer that I need help so I can try to find me a job there, because I can't see out of one eye, and it always affect me when I'm working the sun. If somebody bump me, I might try to, whatever, it always affect me. So my brother, Timothy Whitlock, he have his own, he a contract, he got his own pain service, and he do Robson Place and Newtown, and he told me if I come home, I got a job, and I really need the job so I can pay my parole fee, and I got a newborn out there. Well, she 1 year old now. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, have you had any Okay, let's go. What are you on parole about?
I've been on parole ever since 2003.
For what?
Conspiracy to commit an armed robbery. My homeboy had robbed somebody and he told me about it and I didn't call the police.
Okay, and so that was in 2003?
2000, sorry about this, 2015, sir.
2015. So you got, what kind of sentence did you get?
I get 27 years on, 27 years on with 3 because I did 3 years in jail, 24 years on parole when I got out. So I stayed on the street. I stayed on the street 6 years. So before I got in trouble.
And so I don't understand. That's just because you knew about an armed robbery?
Yes, sir. He told the people that I know about it, and he had told me when he gave me some money or something when he robbed, he came and told me and gave me some money, and I had denied the situation, but he got 30 years and I got 27 years, and I did 8 years and 6 months. They let me out 2018, and I've been home ever since 2018.
Have you had a job since 2018?
Yes, sir. It was cleaning people. It was cleaning people houses. I was cleaning people houses, and I had my own like the cleaning service. Like if somebody need their house clean, I go clean their house. But for us, I ain't have a good job until my brother got his own. He a contractor, so he let me this kind of come work with him every once in a while and until I get the hang of it, because like I said, I can't see out one eye, and sometimes I turn over and knock the bucket of paint over, and that's paint that he ain't been paid for, so he kind of like come and get me every once in a while.
Okay, that's all I got.
All right, Ms. Stapleton, I don't
Oh.
see
I didn't raise my hand. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay. I just want to ask you a question. Your stories in every single case, they don't really match what the other people say. Like you're saying about Miss Tatum, that
Yes.
y'all are good friends and everything like that. Well, when she tells her story, she said that you really did knock her out of the way. That she was the one that called 911, not you, the way that you tell the story.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And,
ma'am.
and then she follows up with the fact that she says that I'm writing to inform the board that y'all did have an argument and that you did shove me out of the way. And because once my new boyfriend had walked into the apartment. Yeah. And so it's Mr. Whitlock, she's saying you're not a threat to her and she's not afraid. So y'all are no longer together. Miss Tatum is no longer your girlfriend. Is that correct or no?
She's my girl. She's my girlfriend, ma'am.
So what's this about? Once my new boyfriend had walked into my apartment after Mr. Whitlock had dialed 911 and left out of the apartment and left his phone there.
Ma'am, I called 911 because when we was in the house, I was ready to go back around and check on my baby. And at the time, she was, kind of was drinking a little bit, but she was kind of, she didn't want me to go. So on the way I can get out the door, ma'am, when I seen her, well, there was her ex-boyfriend. She was going with when he came in the door, so that kind of like scared me for to run out the door. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the shoving part came, but I didn't really like shoving. Like she by the door when he opened the door, that means she go back the door a little bit. So I kind of forced myself out the door. It wasn't no hitting or no grabbing. It was just me just trying to hurry and get out the door before I get in more trouble. That's all it was, man.
And her statement to police was, Mr. Whitlock has been physically assaulting me for about 2 months.
Yes, ma'am. She said she only said it out of anger because she didn't want me to go back home to my baby mama, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get back to what Mr. Prater was talking about. All right, the SSI. They
Yes,
tell
ma'am.
you if you work, you can't get, well, if you get any paycheck, and I know you can earn up to a certain amount per month and still
Yes,
get your
ma'am.
SSI.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but you have been saying that you've been working on and off. You were saying that, and then you talked about another job, and during that time you made no payments whatsoever towards.
Yes, ma'am. I made a pay. I told the parole man that I needed help when I first came. So that's the whole reason why he put me in a program so I can get smarter and better at what I was doing. Like I really was trying to pay my parole, and I really wanted to do better because I had a newborn out there and I wasn't trying to not pay him. I know in my heart I was trying to make sure that my family was great. That, you know, only reason why I was saying he would come and pick me up on and off because it was stuff that I couldn't do. And he'll just give me a couple of dollars, man, and a couple of dollars I had got to buy pampers and
Mhm.
stuff with it, man. That's all.
I understand. Well, let me ask you this. You said about attending the classes. You said that there were times you didn't go because you had to take the baby to the doctor.
Yes,
So you
ma'am.
didn't, so the classes were on and off, and that was okay with them? I mean, you could miss class and then just make
No,
it up the
ma'am.
next
I
time.
can't miss class. If I miss class, they call my parole officer. I had to call them and let them know I got my baby sick there and she got to go to the hospital. So they'll tell me bring a excuse back with me
Uh-huh.
when I come back to class, ma'am. But
How many times did that happen?
that happened like three times, and the whole 3 times I brought the excuse back. But I made sure that the whole 8 months where we had to go to class Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I made
Right.
that I got there and I made sure that I completed that program and did, because that's what he told me I had to do, and I did right. I think I did right by him, but I had a misunderstanding about when I'm in class. I ain't know what to do. I'm in class. I gotta go see my parole man, and by the time I finish my class, and when the bus take us home,
Mhm.
the parole place be closed, and
So after hours.
this man, and but the officers were there, the parole people was there to come checking on the other people that I let them know that let my parole officer know that I'm in class. That's why he never put on warrant out for my arrest. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
I was going to class. You know, he told me to do right and make sure that I go to class, or he gonna have to get me because the woman over him, you know what I'm saying? So I made sure that I was doing right, and
Okay.
I feel good.
All right. Well, that's all the questions that I have for you.
Thank
I
you.
just do, Mr. Whitlock, see a note, an entry in the parole officer's narrative log dated November 29th of 23, and it was an email from the Day Reporting Center that said, you enrolled there March 20th, 23. You had a case manager, you attended the program over 90% of the time, completed required groups, parenting, life skills, and job readiness, had negative drug screens throughout your time in the program, and you were successfully discharged November 29th, 23, because you successfully completed the requirements. So I do see that in the record. We do have Ms. Tatum here. I see Ms. Tatum. Is there anything you'd like us to know?
Hey, how you doing? Yes, the incident with me and him when we was the shoving and all that, it was just a simple accident. I was mad because he was trying to leave. But since then we've been talking and trying to work things out, and I do want him to come home. It's nothing more, just a simple accident, and it shouldn't have happened, and I shouldn't have got mad and called the police on him.
All right, thank you. Mr. Whitlock, anything else you want to say to us before we vote?
Yes, ma'am. And the whole time I had to do my homework and stuff. She was there with me on her computer, making sure that I did my homework for the Day Reporting Center, and I felt good because I never had a woman that helped me, you know.
Mhm.
God bless them.
All right.
So,
Okay, well, thank you, sir. I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Prater will be voting first.
All right, this is, I'm kind of troubled by all of this because there seems to be an answer for everything. But the truth of the matter is you pled guilty to something, which I didn't much think was appropriate. Um, you know, I think that you are behind, and I think that you are behind in your money, that you did plead guilty to something. I think that the failure to report that seems like that could be understandable. So I'm kind of conflicted about what to do with you. Really, I think it'd be appropriate to spend some more time in there, but I don't think it'd be appropriate to completely revoke you. And so I'm going to I'm going to vote to grant your parole, and I'm going to see if there's any kind of or excuse me, not revoke you, and see if there's any other kinds of things that we can do. And I'll yield to the chairman to maybe put some stipulations on there for us.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Stapleton? Look, I'll go ahead and cast my vote. I would recommend, along with what Mr. Prater said, that in lieu of revocation, send you to a work release program for a period of time. That would help get you some good job skills. Once you, and put some money in your pocket, I believe it would do you some good. That's what I would recommend. Mrs. Stapleton?
She on pause.
Okay, now can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank goodness. Yes, I agree with Ms. Renata, and I agree with Mr. Prater. I have a lot of problems with this, and you really, in a lot of ways, had a super good record, and that's what we're looking for prior to all of this. And so I agree with the recommendations of Chairman Renata, and agree to grant those recommendations.
So do you concur, Mr. Prater, with the work release?
Yes, I concur. I think that's a great suggestion. Thank you for making it.
So, Mr. Whitlock, do you understand what we're trying to do?
No, well, not really. I just know work release. I know what that is. No, ma'am.
So rather than totally revoke you and send you back to prison, we want to send you to a work release program for a period of at least 6 months.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you'll do work release, take whatever programs may be available to you at that facility, and then return you back to supervision.
Yes, ma'am.
That'll help you get some job skills and get some money to help support your daughter.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So that's our decision today. We're going to send you some information on it. We wish you well. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
I have to admit, I am confused. I've listened to this like 3 times now. I don't have any records to share with you, but it seems that he's claiming that in early 2000, he was given a 30-year sentence for knowing about a robbery, taking goods from the robber, but that was it. Or a 27-year sentence, and the robber got a 30-year sentence. And I mean, Mr. Prater didn't seem to buy it, the sheriff, and they didn't seem to have any records on it. Now, it is possible. We have seen craziness with Louisiana. For example, the man who got a life sentence for breaking into cars because it was his 3rd offense. I mean, we have seen people slapped with the habitual thing, but they didn't mention that at this parole hearing. I don't know. But I guess the bottom line is that they said he's been out since 2017. So except for not paying his fees, but he was been out of trouble, and that is what they look for. And I do, bottom line, like the idea that they're sending him to work release for 6 months. I wish that was a tool that we saw them use more often, and we just don't see it used that often. I don't know why. Work release seems to be like quite a a unique option to help someone get on their feet, put money away, solve these problems that they're having. But we don't see it used that often. And it depending on the job that you get, we have seen some people on work release that were making over 6 figures a year. Yes, I'm not fabricating that. Now that's if they get jobs in like the offshore oil fields. Those crews will pay competent, I should say more than competent, but I guess workers that can do the job. It's apparently really hard out there on the boats doing what they do or whatever it is that they're doing. But I also have heard that when you're making those 6 figures, then you have to pay your room and board at the prison, and they take a good chunk of it. So they're not, you're not putting it all away, but probably putting a good amount away. Now, he's not going to go offshore, I can imagine, especially with his eye problems. He's probably going to have a much less lucrative job. But anyways, another thing I just don't understand, and I've said this so many times, but, it's like, are there really are there not enough good men out there where you have to have people chasing down criminals who have been just locked up for a good part of their life without great prospects? I don't understand how that happens. I would love to know. Anyways, thank you, Richard, for the commentary on this case. I'm wishing him the best, that's for sure. And with that, we can move to the next hearing.
All right, we are back in regular session, ready to proceed. And is this Randy?
Yes, ma'am.
You introduce yourself. Tell us your name and DOC number.
Hi, my name is Randy Blakely, DOC number 739-522.
Yes, Ms. Blakely. My name is Cheryl Renatza. My colleagues on the panel, you can see them on your screen, Mrs. Carolyn Stapleton, Mr. Steve Prater. I'm going to read some identifying information into the record, Ms. Blakely, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Prater. Your case has been assigned to him. He'll take the lead on the parole interview.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So, Blakely, you're classified as a second felony offender. You're currently serving a 12-year, 6-month sentence. You were sentenced in St. James Parish, March of 22 for distribution of methamphetamines and violating the CDS law and a drug-free zone. You have a parole eligibility date, which is October 18, 2024, and your good time release date is January 17 of 2026. Does all that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Would you answer Mr. Prater's questions, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to go over a little bit about your history because what I see is just drugs, and see what all you've done to correct that situation and see if it's been sufficient to convince us that possibly you have changed. Start from the beginning rather than me read notes and say which times and what dates you were charged and where. Why don't you start? Let's see what you recall.
Okay, my drug addiction began after my parents passed away. Once that happened, then I ended up hanging around with the wrong crowds, dropped out of school. And I can't really say it was the right reasons, but it was the only way I had to deal with my grief from losing both my parents at such a young age. Then I started to really become addicted and a real user. And at one point and one time when I got my first charge, it was actually, how can I explain this? I was messing up. I had no way of looking at life. I couldn't find a job. And then when I got my first conviction, when I was released, I attempted to find a job in my hometown parish. ended up hanging around with the same people, same places, same things, and ended up once again getting caught up in the same lifestyle. Since then, I've been arrested a few times, and I finally came to the realization that this isn't the lifestyle that I would like to fulfill. I attended rehab and 4 months of sober living before this recent incarceration.
Okay, so you were arrested in September of 2015, February 2018, June of 2019, looks like January of 20, and then of course that wasn't a drug charge in June of 21, but then this latest one in 22, and you got 12 years sentence, is that correct?
Yes, sir. 12 and a half.
12 and a half years, and you served a total of 2 years and 3 months. So you hadn't really got started good on it. Although you do have a parole eligibility date coming up, in just a few months. But what have you, I'm my computer cut out or something. What happened to your parents? I'm sorry.
Both my parents passed away when I was very young,
Okay.
and I raised my 2 younger siblings for as long as I could.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry. Sorry you had to go through all of that. Okay. Now tell me what you've done since you've been incarcerated that's going to convince us that you have found the light. You've seen the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're not going to be involved in drugs any longer.
Since I've been incarcerated, I still continue my big book study. I also attend Bible study regularly. I've isolated myself from the people that I used to associate with. I have no desire of even communicating with them anymore. I have no desire to return back to my hometown. I intend to stay up here and continue to hold the job that I've acquired from work release, and just not even be associated with my old lifestyle at all.
All right, I noticed, and it's kind of unusual, but the DA, the sheriff, and the judge, or a judge, I don't know if this is the sentencing judge, but they all thought that maybe you needed to spend some more time in jail to make sure that you were on the right path. What do you think about that?
At this point, I think whatever choice, I agree completely with the sentence that I am serving. Now, I do believe that I have changed, but I do, by all means, would like to prove not only to myself, but to everyone else that I have changed. So whatever decision is made, I'm going to willingly accept it and continue moving forward from this point on.
What kind of support system do you have if you were granted parole?
My work colleagues, my boss, they all support me very well. I have sent a couple character letters in with my previous parole packet from my boss, my supervisor, and actually the lady over work release that I'm now participating in. My boss will help me find a apartment or such in a very decent neighborhood. They will help me continue to grow into my position at the place where I work.
Okay. Well, I commend you for the good work that you've done and the attitude that you have, that you're going to accept whatever's, willingly accept whatever our decision is. And I appreciate that. And I'm sorry about your parents and the rough life that you've had. But that doesn't exonerate you from being held accountable for the violations of the law and the people's lives that you impacted by selling drugs. And
Yes,
so anyway, that's all I have, Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Prater. Where do you work?
Neighbor's Cookie Dough Factory in West Monroe, Louisiana.
And you've been in work release for about a year, a little over a year?
Yes, ma'am.
The same job?
I was laid off for downtime in business, but I was called back as soon as the business picked back up. And since then, I have actually been promoted from a regular production operator to a quality assurance technician. I've gotten an increase in pay twice since then.
You mentioned siblings earlier, that you raised your siblings for a while, for as long as you could. Do you still have a relationship with them now today?
No, ma'am. With the choices that I made, they actually refuse to have any relationship with me at this present time.
So you don't have any family? Except
Ma'am?
you don't have any family?
No, I have an older
Did you-
brother and an older sister that I very rarely speak to, but other than that, no, ma'am.
Okay, fine. All right. I don't see any other questions. Is there, a staff member there in the room with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, is there anything you can share with us about, Ms. Blakely?
Since she's been here with us, she has no incidents or disciplinary or any notes on her record. And Sergeant May of Women's Work Release highly commends her.
Good. All right. Well, thanks. We appreciate that. Anything you want to say to us, Ms. Blakely, before we vote?
I actually have a letter I wrote, if it'd be okay with y'all if I read it.
Go ahead.
My name is Randi Blakely. I have been incarcerated for 2.5 years. I am currently housed with OCC Work Release. During my time I have been incarcerated, I have realized the wrongs I have done, and by no means I want to go back down that road. I was in the wrong at the time and should have never been distributing drugs in a drug-free zone, let alone anywhere else, because it wasn't worth my freedom. The things we tend to do in life always has a reaction. I pray that today I am allowed to have a second chance to not only prove to myself, but prove to others that I can and I have learned from my mistakes. Thank you for your consideration and my parole eligibility date.
All right. Well, thank you. I think that we are, ready to vote. Mr. Prater will be voting first.
Yes, ma'am. I think you've done very, very well, but due to the opposition from the folks that made the case and the ones that judge the case or that are knowledgeable of the case, I'm not ready after just serving 2 years of a 12-year, 6-month plea bargain to allow you out. I'd like to see some more, some drug rehab work done and some serious work about that in jail before I vote for parole. And so for those reasons, at this point, I'm going to deny it, but I want to encourage you to apply again as soon as you can, and let's reconsider. But I want to see some more drug work before I vote to accept your parole.
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Stapleton?
Yes, ma'am. Randy, I agree with everything that my colleague said, Mr. Prater, and I do agree to encourage you to continue where the path that you're taking with your classes. You had some good things from the people that are involved in your life right now, but you do need more to serve more time on your sentence. And of course, the drug charges were very serious and they go back a long time. So all the drug treatment that you can get will only do you good later. So my vote today is going to be to deny you due to strong opposition from the DA and law enforcement. And you just need to serve more time on your sentence.
Yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Lee, I'm encouraged by your attitude. I'm encouraged and pleased that you had the opportunity for work release, and that seems to have made quite a difference in your life, giving you purpose, and you've created a family, a work family. I agree with my colleagues, and I agree with the opposition that, that you made the plea deal. You said you totally agree with your 12.5-year sentence, and that's the deal you made to avoid the habitual offender bill. I do agree you need to serve a little more time. Show us you can continue to do well. Don't let this denial be a setback. You'll have the opportunity to reapply for another parole hearing. And we encourage you to do that just as soon as you can. We'll send you information on when you're eligible to do that. So good luck. Today your parole's been denied. We want to see you again as soon as we can. Good luck.
Thank you. A tissue or anything?
Okay, so I don't have much more to add to this. I mean, Richard did provide information page after page after page of basically all of her arrests, but it's not anything really. It's more like, like news bulletins of her arrest. And yeah, she has a long record. I thought it was a good hearing, in terms of her just being straight up and, there's no dramatics. There was no, the classic that we see that in hearings where I put it all up to God. I have no more addiction. She seemed to be. What can you say? I think when someone has a good hearing, they have a good hearing. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think if there's anything I can pick out. It was kind of funny how the sheriff started off with drugs, drugs, and drugs. It was like almost like a song or something. But I think this is what we just saw, I think, is an example of the system working. Yes, 12 and a half years for, now she was dealing, and it was her millionth offense. But it's 12 and a half years, but she had parole eligibility after serving like 2.5. She's in work release. So has the opportunity to make money and create good habits. And to me, this seems like where the system's actually working, my opinion. She probably will get out of her next opportunity of parole. Maybe it'll happen in a year from now, maybe in 2 years from now. And it's about punishment, retribution, rehabilitation. I don't know. To me, this kind of thing makes sense. And I guess you have to applaud it, right? I'm a big fan of the work release. I think that it's like it makes sense because, again, it's about building those habits, showing that you can be successful on the outside, also putting away money so that when you get out, you're not just completely screwed, which I think the vast majority of those who get out are. You get out with nothing, not only nothing, but oftentimes you have all these different types of penalties and things that you have to pay. But not every day we see someone who actually has the charge stick where it's dealing within a school zone, right? It's like, you drive by those school zones and or drug-free zones, and you always look at that sign like, is it like what? Like, does it actually affect anyone? Do people stay away from it? Do people hold the charge? Well, here's someone who they made sure that charge stuck, and even in her final statement, she said, I should never have dealt near no school zone or drug-free zone. And I guess that's where maybe she could have done better. She probably should have said, I should have never dealt, period. Also, never a good sign when your family isn't there to support you, although it's understandable that can happen when someone goes through an addictive situation. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. So with that, we can move to the next hearing.